Hello everyone, this is Muhammad Tuhami from Midway Simplicity and welcome to a new episode of the Midway Simplicity Show where I invite simple living advocates to share with you a few tips that are not too harsh for your lifestyle and that can help you simplify the five most important areas of your life, which are time, health, things, finances, and relationships. And today I have a very interesting guest. She is Megyn Scott-Hintz of Minimalist Mommy com, where she is fighting for less and she is exposing her home to the public to let people see how she is doing the or living the simple lifestyle. Welcome, Megan. It's an honor to have you on the call.
Hi, Johami. It's great being here.
Give us the little background about your blog. How did you start it, and how did you uh, take this bold approach of showing people how you are doing what you are doing in terms of simple living?
I started my blog just sort of as a means to kind of air out all the stress I was living with and kind of talk people through minimalization and decluttering because those tend to be my hobbies. And I saw a lot of blogs that showed people's like just pictures of houses and rooms, and you didn't really get to see the nitty gritty of all the drawers and all the tiny details. So I figured, well, I can open up my house, let people see how we really live with all the chaos in our house, and I show the good, the bad, the ugly, the things we do well, the things we're working on, and just kind of, like to be real and honest with people.
That's great. So, uh, on your blog, you say that you are analytical planner to the max, with an overwhelming wild imagination. So
Yes.
how this dangerous combination, as you call it, helps you in living a simple life? Because being analytical and being like a wild, someone who has a wild imagination. So this seems to be an extreme. So the people
Yeah.
who are living a simple life, are somehow having inner peace, would love to think simply, but you are being analytical and so on. So how this is helping you?
For me, it goes two ways. Sometimes I can be way too analytical, where I overanalyze every single decision I make, and then my imaginative part helps me with the inner dialogue and more of the emotional aspect. And so for me, it's more just trying to get the two to work together and to help me make the best decision possible.
Yeah, and being you're saying that you are a mommy of a house with a house full of boys. So
Yes.
being a mommy, is it really possible to live simply? How are you doing that? Managing the
It
kids and at the same time leading a simple home.
it's difficult. It's a challenge. I mean, I have to deal with two small boys every day that are very wild and want my attention, and then we have pets, and then I am, obviously married, so I have a relationship with my husband. I work part-time, I blog. It's hard to manage it all, but I mean, because it's something I'm passionate about, we find ways to make time for it all.
So so it's all about passion. And do you find any resistance from your family members to join you in this journey, or how do you get their buy-in?
Well, with having kids, it's been difficult. We've kind of raised them from the beginning and talked to them a lot about why we do what we do. And even though they're only 2 and 4, we're hoping that by explaining our motives and explaining why we do what we do, they'll, be set up for later down the road to understand it more fully. And for my husband, he's always kind of been just laid back and doesn't really care. As long as I don't mess too much with his stuff, he doesn't really care what I do. So I've been lucky in that way too.
That's interesting. So let's start with a tip to help people simplify their time.
For me, I tend to find that if you actually do what you like in your day instead of making things harder, you actually have the time to do everything you want. Like, for example, people in the green movement, some of those things they want you to do take up a lot of time. For me, it would mean taking my son to school. I could drive, and that would take me 10 minutes each way, or I could take the bus, which would take me over an hour each way. And for me, sometimes I've just realized even though being green is something I'm passionate about, but I also want to make sure I get the most out of my day and I'm not spending it, sitting in the sun, taking a bus. I've decided that for now, our best option is the car. And that's the way we've simplified our time is, we get a couple extra hours in our day because we're not using our really horrible public transit system here. And, if it became better, that would be great. But for now, that's one of our options. And we just kind of had to decide what's the most important for us.
That's great. So let's move to health. What are you doing to stay healthy in a simple way?
I think the simplest way people can manage their health is also realizing the relationship between your mental health and your physical health. And I know a lot of people, they'll just work really on their physical health and, get their weight down or eat really well. But a lot of that is also dealing with the mental clutter we have. And if we can figure out how our thoughts and our feelings affect our physical self, then we can actually, affect our health in the long term for the better.
So are there any specific tips that you are doing or advise people to do?
I think it's just more of being very cognizant of how you're feeling and thinking. And for me, I deal with a lot of anxiety and I notice my stomach gets tense or my heart rate will go up and so it's just being really aware of if you're feeling very anxious, look at what your body is doing and then you can realize how you can change those thoughts and also change what's going on with your body and hopefully, improve some of the health issues you're having in the long run.
That's great. And let's move to the things part, the area where which you are a guru at, you know. Uh, and I remember the video you have done in your garage, I believe, and you called it a clutter. But
Yeah.
people, I saw the comments of the people. Is this a cluttered place? Are you sure? We have 10 times the clutter, so seems
Yeah.
that you have secret perception to what clutter means and how to declutter your environment. So I would love to hear your take on that.
My tip is for things that I own in my house, I look at it as what do I actually want to clean and maintain. And that's why like we don't have a lot of furniture, but that's because I hate dusting. And that's really all it comes down to is I don't want to spend my life cleaning all of this and maintaining it and keeping it up to a level that I like. So when I think of bringing things in and like especially clothes, do I really want to do more laundry? Do I want to put more things away? That's kind of how I look at it is this is more I have to deal with and especially as kind of the mom and the housekeeper, I'm the one doing the laundry. I'm the one doing the majority of the chores. I don't want to have to do any more than that. So it's not something I'm very passionate about. So I just choose to have less because I don't want to do the cleaning. I don't want to do the laundry and all of that.
That's interesting. So I believe you are moving from a base of, pain. You don't want the pain, so you decrease and you are aiming for the less and so on. So,
Exactly.
so do you have a specific tip to help people declutter easily their environment and choose what to
Um,
keep and what to get rid of and so on?
I would just say when you look at things, ask yourself, is it worth the time and effort that I put forward maintaining it and cleaning it? Is it worth that time? And that'll kind of give your answer of like,
Yeah,
not really, it doesn't really serve as much of a purpose as I thought it would.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And what about finances? How are you managing your finances in a simple way?
For us, we really just keep our bills small. Just like everything else, we ask ourselves, is this an important thing to spend money on? Is it worth this many hours of my day? And that's kind of how we look at it. Okay, it takes us this many hours to make this much money. Is it worth that many hours of work? And when you kind of look at it that way, you think, oh, well, this meal would cost me 5 hours of work. Is it really worth working 5 hours for this one meal at a restaurant? And that helps cut out a lot of our, extra spending on meals or clothes or movies or whatever. It's just we don't want to have to work that much extra so we can afford that little bit of gratification.
Great. And what about relationships in your life?
I think The best thing I found is using direct and assertive communication with others, and especially with, a spouse or even your children. And it helps you, get past all of the drama, all of the underlying things that are going on when you just get straight to the point and you tell people how you feel and you don't try and hide things or lie, or you can just, get all of it out. And sometimes it's hard to hear what people have to say in a direct and honest manner, but in the end of the day, it helps people so much more.
That's awesome. So, can you tell our the people who are watching us now a little bit about your blog and what you are doing there in more details?
On my blog, basically, it's kind of like my open journal or memoir, and it details basically what I'm going through on a day-to-day basis, what I'm struggling with, the issues that I see and that I'm battling with, because I think a lot of times, a lot of these blogs are just telling you what to do, and you don't really see the behind the scenes of how people are working through these issues. And so I'm kind of using my own life as a means to show you, I'm dealing with things too, and we'll work on it together. And, it's not bad if you're working on these things or you have these issues.
That's great. So it's kind of an open community for people who are working on simplifying their lives. So you are working
Yeah.
on it, they are watching
Definitely.
you, kind of reality TV blog.
Yeah, it's like trying to
Yeah,
kind of create a support network, and
yeah.
I'm just trying to be the open, honest, vulnerable person so people can say I can be open and honest too and not feel judged, and not feel like I'm doing this wrong or right or whatever, and just kind of get the support they need rather than feeling like they're being told what to do from other people.
Awesome, awesome. That's great. Thank you so much, Megan, for being my guest today, and I hope to have you again where we talk more in depth about how to become a minimal mommy or a
Perfect. Thank you so
minimalist
much for
mommy.
having
Thank you so much.
me.
Take care.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.